Hi, everyone. My name is Glenda Dawson. I am here to speak to you on Conscious Awakening Network about one of my paranormal experiences. Um, Back in 2017, I was called to investigate this clubhouse that they were about to demolish. The clubhouse was a very old building, had housed a lot of many different generations, and has been converted into many different functions and activities. The clubhouse board of directors requested that I let them know what was there, and also if I could facilitate the transitioning, if I could explain to them that the clubhouse, the actual building, was going to be demolished, and they wanted those spirits to realize that they respected them, they cared about them, and that they were there to reconcile with them. At that moment, I was one of the guest spirit chasers, as they called us at that moment, remediators. The other one was Larry Dawson. Him and I, we walked through the whole building, section by section, including the second floor, which was a little treacherous. But when we did that, we explained to the spirits we were there as a friendly gesture, to explain to them that the clubhouse was going to soon be demolished, and they wanted, the board wanted to hear their story, wanted to understand why they were still there and what was their purpose there, and what did they do while they were alive. Well, at that moment, you could hear creaks, and you could hear sounds, and you could hear knocking, and you could hear all these different things throughout the whole building. At that moment, we then were escorted with one of the members around the building to ensure our safety, and also for them to let us know what each room consisted of before it got to such a bad shape. Well, I discovered a few of the entities there, and I spoke to them, and they gave me their story. Now, there were Native American guardians. Now, Native American guardians are spirits that were not always incarnate, but most of them have never incarnated. There's just energy, guardians of the earth, guardians of the water, guardians of the dirt, the trees, the grass, everything that has to do with nature. And of course, there was a lake there that was originally not as big as it stands now. It was a little smaller, but there was always a waterways there. Now, they asked us again to walk through, and as I was going, I realized that this guardian was upset at them because they were not taking care of the land. The guardian wanted to make sure that when they demolished the building, that they were going to be neat, that the scraps and the garbage was not going to end up in the water, in the big lake now, and that they understood, the humans understood that he was there. It felt like a male entity, that he was there to protect the lands, to make sure that the humans that lived there did not kill the natural resources, but they protected it, they cleaned it, they did well by it. Well, that was one very important entity there, who was guarding that land since way before natives actually started to reside in that area. Now, this clubhouse is in Pennsylvania, and I was very fortunate to be called to do this. It's one of my blessings is that people call me so I could learn about the spirits, about the entities that are there. That one entity was a child who had died there, and she was a reverend's daughter from a very long time ago when that facility was a Baptist camp. And that facility housed a lot of people in the summertime. It was a Baptist church there, the Baptist reverend, and they had a lot of activities there where she grew up there. She loved it there. She loved to play there. So when she passed away, she came back to her favorite place, her bedroom, where she could look out the window and see nature, see the water, see the trees, see all the little furry animals, the deer, the squirrels, the rabbits. She enjoyed that. She found that place so peaceful. That was her happy place. So she decided that once she had gone up into the light, that she would come back and stay there because that was her favorite place. There was also a couple of other people. One, unfortunately, had hanged himself, and he had a miserable life, unfortunately, but he decided to take his life at the place that he felt safest. He had it was in late 1800s, 1870s, around there, and he had hanged himself, and he decided to come back to the place where he had ended it all, because he realized at that moment, unfortunately, at that moment, that by hanging yourself, that just meant you had to come back and repeat your lessons. You had to come back. And he was not ready, so he just decided to stay there and become part of the building. He was also one of the spirits that was making a lot of noise. He was trying to get people's attention. People would go by certain rooms and they would feel the cold chill. The place was beautiful at one point. It was glorious. It had a lot of life. Unfortunately, it was run down now, and they needed to get rid of the clubhouse to put up a new clubhouse, to put up a new building. Now, the most intriguing, and to me, the best spirit that was there was a jokester whose nickname was Robbie. And he died in the late 1800s. I'm not sure exactly what time, but he was a jokester. He would prank that property manager, who was also named Robbie, by the way. And he loved to play jokes on Robbie, the property manager, would move his tools, would play pranks, would close cabinets, open doors, all these things. And the actual living Robbie kind of got used to him. And as long as they lived in peace, it was great. So Robbie, the spirit, decided to stay there. And since he was the same name, he enjoyed playing tricks on him. He actually enjoyed playing tricks on everybody that was in the area, anybody that went into the clubhouse. They had heard moaning, they had heard creaking. They had heard doors opening and shutting. They had heard all these things and had felt the spirits. Now, when we presented all this evidence, they asked me to then remediate, to ask the spirits to leave because they were going to bring down the clubhouse. They needed to demolish it for safety reasons. Well, Robbie asked me if it was okay for him to stay while the whole process, the process of demolishing, the process of rebuilding, he wanted to stay there with the living Robbie. And I did not see any harm, and I am of the belief that if there's no harm, everybody could live mutually in a good place. So I reported back and I advised them what the native guardian had expressed. And they said to me that they would take care of that land. They would keep it clean. They would keep the lake clean. They would make sure that nobody throws garbage around it, that the place would be immaculate. The grounds would be immaculate. Now the guardian was there and really appreciated and consented and enjoyed the fact that they were finally understanding that he wasn't there to harm anybody, but he was there to protect the land. The little girl and everyone else except for Spirit Robbie, they said that they would move on. It would be okay. And even Abraham, who took his own life, decided that it was time now to go back and be debriefed and then reincarnate. Now, Robbie decided to come back and stay there, which was perfectly fine with the property manager, Rob. I think it was a great match. They're both very comical. They both love to play jokes. And it was a great way to keep company. Now, the living Robbie always talked to Robbie, even though he did not know his name. He would always say, oh, cut it out. You know, I really need this tool, and that tool will reappear. And so they had a great relationship. This is one of those incidents where everything turned out great. It was a beautiful thing to see all of the spirits leave. After we left, a few months later, I heard from members of the clubhouse that they had researched all the information and the records, and they did find the little girl and her grave, and they did find that her father was a reverend, and they did find all of the different entities that were there that I investigated, and I gave them the information on. That is what it's all about. They did write an article on it, and I will provide that towards the end of this recording, towards the end of this session. I just believe that no matter what dimension we're in, we could live at the same time, mutually with love, in the same place, the same space, without having to cause chaos or hardship on any side. In harmony, everyone can live together. Everyone can be together, and everyone can share the same space without causing harm or any problems. There was no chaotic entities there because when I walked in, I asked, basically, let them know I was there for peace. I was not there to harm anybody. I didn't ask them to repeat their name. I didn't ask them to repeat a certain thing. I asked them to be themselves and to tell me their story. I was there for their story. Now, as far as I know, everything is peaceful. Robbie is still with Rob, visits, and Rob still talks to Robbie, and he enjoys it. This clubhouse was a beautiful location, was a beautiful building, very big. Very big building with lots of windows everywhere, so there was natural light. Even the rooms in what appeared to be the hotel part were gorgeous. They each had beautiful windows where they could look out and the sun would shine in. Each one shared a fireplace. Every single room was designated for something. Even though it was down to the beams, you could still picture the beauty in its original form. No matter where it is or how we see ourselves, we can all be at the same time, at the same place, with love, with tranquility, with peace, and above all, harmony. Now, my name is Glenda Dawson. Again, you can find me glendasmagicalcreations.com. And I'd like to thank Conscious Awakening Network for allowing my channel to be there, Glenda's Magical Creations. Many blessings, and hope if you have any questions that you email me, and I'll be more than happy to speak to you and talk to you and explain more. Or maybe you have a place where you want to find the history of it without going to just the old books or the old cemetery records. I am here. Thank you. Blessings. Namaste.